Hey, I'm Kung Fu Matt,
And I'm ResidualSteam.
and we're bringing to you a Solforge podcast.
Yes, sir.
Uh, I I would say I'm a competitive player. I'm not yet top level, but I'm getting there. Uh, I've been playing Solforge since it basically existed. Uh, didn't play forum games, but as soon as it was an actual game, I was there.
You
Part
couldn't
of
visualize it on the forums?
no, I don't.
The artwork?
I would say the math.
Ah,
Yeah,
what? It's math.
yeah.
Numbers and letters? No, wait, that's not math. Just numbers?
Yeah, just numbers.
Oh.
Um, and I'm a Kickstarter backer, so that's me. How about you?
I've also been playing since right around the times of the forums, but also did not play, mostly because of my lack of sense of imagination. And I am good with numbers, but yeah, again, the no visualization ability. But have been playing for a while, and also a Kickstarter backer, which I feels like it should be a football position.
What position would it be?
That's what I was trying to figure out. Couldn't think of anything quick enough though.
Okay. So,
Feel free to drop a line and tell us what position that should be though.
Kickstarter backer,
Yes.
some kind of like returning kicks. I don't know. I'm not really sure.
Exactly.
He starts returning kicks and then hands it off to somebody else. I don't
We'll take suggestions.
know.
I'm sure the NFL would hear us out and, add a position.
Exactly, Kickstarter backer. Okay,
Yeah.
so there's a lot of us actually, so it'd be perfect.
Yeah, we're plenty of teams to choose from. We got this.
Exactly. Okay, so we just had a tournament yesterday, so that would be August 9th. But we're gonna kind of lead up to this tournament. So first, we're gonna talk about the last Forge Watch Invitational qualifier. Um, Basically, it was the most diverse metagame we have seen so far in Soulforge.
Hmm.
Uh, just different decks. They did win two of these major tournaments in a row. Were won with the same deck. Hans and then Vegevine both won with plants. But the rest of the decks, I mean, you just know it's diverse. You've got
Hmm.
Silvertail. Shout out to A1. I'm a member of A1, as is Silvertail.
Shameless plug.
Exactly. Uh, he was in second for that tournament, playing a robots Necrium list. Zwaxor, also part of A1. Look at that, taking over the world. Uh, although he wasn't at the time, he joined slightly after this. Um, he's
I'm
playing
sure it was
his.
his idea that he was going to join that got him into that place, though.
Oh, of course.
Yep.
Uh, playing NT. If you've seen Zwaxor stream, you have seen him play NT.
Yep.
He's actually got I believe he has a fairly limited, like not super limited card pool, but I think this is one of those things where he has all these cards and doesn't have necessarily everything else. So this is just one of those decks that he plays. I don't know if it's his favorite or not, but I know he's
I
very good at it.
Yeah, I definitely know he enjoys the deck for sure, and I'm not sure about the limited card pool. I don't know if I've ever heard him mention that,
Okay.
but it's definitely a deck you'll see him play often.
Yes. Then we had another. We had wow. Speaking. Okay,
Words?
we had a Gox deck. We had some words. Yeah. Gox and Drix and Gargoyles. That's kind of interesting. This is the first time Gox had really made a splash in really too much in constructed. Every once in a while, it shows up. It's hidden. It's there.
Hmm.
It's like, oh look, somebody actually got a Gox deck up there. That's cool. It's been
Yeah.
kind of like a 1.5 deck forever. Ever since Drix appeared.
Who
Um,
doesn't like to draw extra cards?
yeah, drawing extra cards is great.
Yep.
Um, Drix just made it, at least closer to viable. And then it's just been kind of hanging out. He added the robots package to it, I think is what pushed him ahead of everyone else on
Hmm.
the Drix Gox kind of deck. Uh, and you got to remember, this is before the new cards were released. So
That's what I was just gonna say.
this is just what it looked like.
Yep.
We had Yetis, uh, Invoker, like NT, not necessarily control, more NT. What do you want to call it? Like not sure what the word I'm looking for, but more of an NT tempo. So
Yeah.
you try to beat on them early, and in the mid game, and then kind of look at this. I'm way ahead of you, and now I drop a Zemus and you lose. or my predator grows out of control. But
Mhm.
you've got that flame break invoker, which is really solid for removal. And then some of these, I mean, when you have solid removal, you want to play predator because it just works out so well. Then we got Clematis, who is playing more of like a controlling, very similar deck, but more of a controlling version. So he's gonna win with Dragon, and he plays
Yeah.
Lucius to clear your board,
Yep.
so he can get behind with Zemus. And then we had, Arc Flight Squadron, Vol Blockade, Aegis Knight, basically robots.
Yep.
So that was, I mean, that's diverse, very,
Yeah.
very diverse.
All over the place.
Okay. So then they release the Gnome. It's kind of like releasing the Kraken, but
Yep.
quite smaller.
Yeah.
Uh,
Just as scary though. Trust me, in person.
I'm not really sure about that, but um,
He looks at you funny. Trust me.
I mean, he does, but it doesn't. I don't know. It doesn't strike fear, I guess, as much. So we've got. Let's see if I can find the deck that it came in. Iron Mind Intuition is the pre-con that they put him in. It also comes with the Gox, which works perfectly. Basically, this guy, he is so good, he himself changed the metagame completely.
A little bit.
If you haven't seen the Gnome yet, you've been under a rock. And he's very good. He basically says, hey, if you've got 5 cards in your hand, I'm free, draw a card. Replace me. So
Mhm.
he is completely free. And he basically, he can, if you're playing a more controlling version of Gox, you can use him to deal with extra threats and to use him as your win condition. I'm going to just play Acolytes on the board, but you have to deal with my Goxes and maybe my Drix or whatever, and you don't have time for the Acolytes, and the Acolytes just slowly beat you to death. Just
Yep.
death by gnomes, very slowly.
Yeah.
Sounds like a horrible way to go.
They have little hands, so they don't do as much damage.
Exactly. So then you've also got the more aggro style ones with Drix, where you go, look, I'm gonna pull my guys big. You gotta block him. You gotta take care of him. Well, look, there's some gnomes on the side. So
Yep.
it works. It's really good. So what that has done is completely flip the metagame on its side. From there to the next tournament, which was the World Cup qualifier, we had all of the top 8 except for one were some version of Drix and Gox. So first thing you think, oh, end of the world, the metagame's ruined. Good job, gnomes. You've ruined the world.
No, just people wanting to play it. New cards, something shiny.
Exactly. I mean, that's part of it. The other part is, the best. Well, I guess the best part is if you're gonna have 7 out of 8 decks be gnomes, just please don't be the same deck.
Yes.
And we're lucky enough that it wasn't.
Yeah.
We had, I think a lot of people are calling it Necromines. Kind of the Necrium version. We've got another Necrium version, so top 2. Then we've got another Necrium version. So Necrium version seemed to be the best. It's top 3. But then you've got version with, Utera, which is kind of interesting. Some Oros and something kind of interesting going on there.
Echo Wisp.
Yep. Then you've got the one deck that wasn't gnomes. And you've got Hans playing Necromines.
Wait,
Ming
Hans did well? Really?
Yeah. I don't know
Imagine
about
that.
that guy. He seems to do well. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just what he does.
His thing.
It is his thing. What do you know about Hans? He plays slow, and he just does
well.
I wonder if those things connect. I don't know. We should probably
Maybe.
just complain that he does slow instead. I'm not going to actually put those two together. See, the
No.
amount of people who complain how slow he is don't realize that I think a lot of his skill comes from that. I think
Thinking out everything.
Yeah, he uses that time.
Somehow that helps.
Yeah, I would think so. I definitely noticed myself put down a card and realize immediately afterwards I shouldn't have done that. Had I waited 4 more seconds and thought out what I was about to do first, that would have made a difference.
Possibly.
But, just throw cards to the board. That's what I do. It's not actually what I do.
It does seem speedier.
But anyways, in this version, he's got Ming had Varna's Pact, which is interesting because if you get a gnome, if you drew an extra card and then play a Varna's Pact and you get a gnome, you get an extra play. It makes your Varna's Pact free. That's
True.
very crazy. It's the same with Shallow Grave. If your gnome dies and you can Shallow Grave it, you get a free Shallow Grave leveled. Uh,
Yeah.
Picador playing in kind of it's like Oracle, Glacius, Flamebreak, Gox deck. This deck
So
would
you're saying
later,
it's kind of control.
yeah, and this deck will later evolve into something else, but we'll get to that in a little bit. Um, and then so there's a lot of Gox, but they're all different. So that's at least the upside to it is if you're gonna play all the same core, please have it be different versions so it's not super boring.
That's just us saying that. I mean, you can just choose the exact same deck and go for it, but we would prefer it if you change it.
Well, yeah, I just don't.
A little more interesting.
Nobody likes the mirror match, not at least constantly. There are some mirrors that aren't as bad as others, but a lot of times they come down to draws. If both players know their decks very well and know the matchup, then it just comes down to draws too often. So I really like, even if your deck runs these 7 cards that are different, that's different enough to change the game. Instead of just who draws the better cards. It might be that card that you put in that's tech, or that's tech against something else that actually hurts you. It
Yep.
just depends. But I'd rather have that. I mean, we do know where it's going. So then we have the August Forge Watch Invitational Qualifier, which was this just yesterday for us, and on the 9th.
Were there any other cards that came up before this?
Oh yeah, I'm just leaping ahead of myself. So more cards came out. Solforge is broken in the background. More cards came out. I skipped the Wyvern before. The Wyvern hasn't made too much of a splash in top level constructed yet. I've
But
seen
it's
him in
fun.
maybe 1 or 2 decks. This card is really fun. But he's in. I think he's in 1 of the top 16. Maybe I think he's in 2 of the top 16 for the recent Forge Watch qualifier. So he's there, but I'm just not sure he's as high quality as the other 2. Um, but he's definitely good, and also who he's freaking awesome looking, and he's an
Yep.
angry chicken.
Yep.
So that's fun. But we've got we had the Death March deck released. Basically, no wait, Death March is the old one, so that's been released. So,
Yes, it has.
yeah. I was actually thinking Nether Shriek Negation. The thing that I noticed that is it didn't have the alliteration. Nether Shriek, not the card that necessarily changed the metagame or anything. Not yet, at least.
However, it is different because it's a spell with different art.
Yeah, and I guess I believe it was. I can't remember if it was David or one of the other Stoneblade guys, but they came on onto a stream that I was watching, and they said the reason behind that was the creature had to have different spell art
Huh.
because otherwise you'd be confused on which one it is.
Oh, I see.
Because they actually do different things.
That's true.
Like the level 3 has mobility. So to do that, they said just technologically, like the best way to do it in game for like programming is to make the cards all different cards, basically. So they gave the cards the art that's different. I guess that's why they went that route. At least that's what I believe he said.
All right, I'll take it.
It makes sense. It makes it because the difference between the creatures are big enough. They're not just health; they're actually literally different. Like this one has mobility.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just a little interesting. But it's interesting. I mean, people have nicknamed it Skill Shriek to make fun of the randomness factor. Just play it. It pops in front of the creature you wanted it to pop in front of, and you just win. Very, very good. A lot of skill there.
Yeah.
Moving on to the important card, we've got good old Ridgeback. I saw this card and immediately, I had already decided to not buy any more cards, and then I immediately bought this card.
So how did that go for you then?
It is so much fun. Like, I have tried this in every combination of Utera and everything else. And I'm not done. Like, I just want to
Necreum?
keep trying it. What?
Necreum?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Alloy?
Yeah. Yeah, he's in a Gox version.
Tempest?
I actually also played him in AU. Tempe's, yes, he's in a very good Tempe's list that also has the Angry Chicken.
Wait, the angry chicken likes to be pumped?
He does.
Oh.
Someone told me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, he's just fun, and if you can get him to 3, which doesn't happen actually very often because the deck I've had the most success with is AU, like a flex with this guy. Pretty much game ends at 2 anyways. I
Goes
never
back to
really...
winning at 2 like it used to.
Exactly, so I don't really get to 3. I have played the 3 maybe twice. But I
Do you
played
feel like it negates some of the hate that Flex used to be getting, and that's why people have been playing it?
uh,
Just a different version with the Ridgeback?
it's just a different version, I guess. It's not. I don't think it negates anything. I do think it's a fantastic underdrop,
Mm-hmm.
which that deck actually needs. For a while, I was playing Eidolon in mine because I needed just an underdrop. So I mean, blocking with
Yeah.
underleveled uh, robots and stuff just doesn't do it. So that was actually what I liked about it. So if you have to, it's a 7/4. It's not bad. It levels well. It actually levels extremely well. It's fine at 2, but man, it's good at 3. Giving
Yeah.
+4/+4 in breakthrough. It's like, hey, if the guy in front of this has at least 16 or less health, you now get a free roar on your side of the
Mm-hmm.
board.
Yeah.
Free roar 3. It's like almost 3. It's 4
Yeah.
instead of 5, but still, get the breakthrough and everything. I have had that happen once, and I just instantly won. It was just like, oh look, you win. Good job, sir. So
Yeah.
it's interesting. I could even see this playing in plants because plants like to fill the board. They also have a lot of things you have to kill quickly, like Nuada and Tarsus. So I want to play this with Varna's Pact. Bringing this back and pumping more things just is awesome. There's
That
just
doesn't
so many.
sound fun at all.
There's so many uses. If you can't tell, I'm kind of in love with the card.
No bias at all.
No, of course not. So, anyways, coming up, so those were released, and then here is what we ended up with. This deck list, the top 16 has a lot of different stuff again. So it actually shook it up a little bit. Now I think part of that's we took some time, figured out how to beat Gox, and then came back at it. The other thing is I think it plays a lot of these, a couple of these new cards, which I think helps a little bit. First thing I want to do is shout out to Sonata Wolf and Silvertail. The winner of this tournament was Jabber. If you have been on the ladder, you know Jabber.
What? Who's that?
He's kind of like a ladder king lately.
A little bit.
He was playing Spite Mage NT, Devour Predator, just basically 3 ofs NT, Spite Mage Cull, Dreadbolt, basically every kill card you can have, and Ebon Skull, and I don't know, just like old school
Have
NT.
you seen him run anything else?
No?
I don't think I have either.
No, I don't think so. So I guess this is his
I
deck.
can't fault him too much though, because he's good with it.
Yeah,
I'll give him that.
Yeah, he's very good.
I
with
don't
it.
like to play against him because I don't.
I don't like playing against NT.
Well, I was just gonna say I don't like playing against him because he tends to win.
Yeah, that's you know, you kind of want to win.
Yeah.
I heard that's the point.
Mm-hmm.
Silvertail was in the top 8 and lost to Jabber, and Sonata Wolf was in the top 2. He was a finalist, and he lost to Jabber as well. They were both playing the same deck. Basically, this is, if you looked, Picador's deck from the qualifier before, or the tournament before, with the Invokers and Gox and Acolyte. They took Drix out. They kind of put their own little spin on it, put Strategist in, and came to a list that was doing very, very well beforehand, and they both did awesome with it.
So this is the evolved version, like you were saying.
I would say, yeah,
before?
and they really worked on this. They just
So it's like a Pikachu going to a Raichu. Yeah, that's right. I dropped a Pokemon reference.
Yes, you did. Yeah, I would say, it's very similar. This is a very good deck. It's skill intensive. You have to be very careful on what you level and what you don't level, because sometimes you have to kill things on board, but you don't necessarily want to level the cards that cause you to have to kill them. But
What do
just
you
have
like to
do
level?
it. Well, obviously Flame Break and Gox at every
Yes, sir.
opportunity.
I agree with that,
Overseer comes down on point 4.
if possible.
Right. The last card you want to level is Phoenix. Phoenix in this deck is an underdrop. It is only an underdrop. Now, if you're forced to level it, or you have a bad starting hand of all spells, you go ahead and level it.
Yeah.
But that's
Not
kind of the
ideal.
card you want to. You don't. If you can just level Goxes and Flamebreakers and Strategists all day, you're gonna want to do that before you play a single Phoenix.
Mm-hmm.
They were actually considering dropping it for a different underdrop, but just decided the mobility is pretty important. Plus, then the
Yeah.
fact that if you do play it, you have that 2.4
Yeah,
Phoenix chance.
exactly.
It gives you another route to win against maybe NT decks or something else. So, yeah, they did amazing. Um, yeah, just want to point that out. A1.
Bias again, a little bit. Self-plugging.
Yep. I was also in the tournament. I played Silvertail, and he knocked me out of contention. So I wasn't
Well, that
necessarily
wasn't
going to be
nice.
in contention, but I had a shot, and yeah, he won. I was playing the like a Necromines list, so I think his was better at the time. Some of the other deck lists I want to point out: Hans was playing Mono Aloyan, which is very interesting, and he put Sonic Burst in there. Now I don't know if anyone's seen too much of Sonic Burst, but it's -8 attack to a creature at level 1. It's -9 and -10 at level 2 and 3, so it's an underdrop, period.
Mm-hmm.
I guess you can use it if you have to. And then his deck's got Aetherforge Oracle and Energy Surge, so I guess it uses the Oracles to level the Energy Surges to just get more consistency and more card draw for the Avatar.
Yeah.
It's very interesting. It plays out very strongly. Um, Seeing Gox have a ton of cards in his hand means he has to think out way more stuff. Seeing Hans, so it's kind of scary. But
A little bit.
I mean, he did very well with it. I don't really think I would do nearly as well because I don't really like Mono Aloyan. I think there are other factions, but I think Sonic Burst helps a lot because in a way, it's removal. I like it against Thundersoar. You know, your Thundersoar's a 0.24. My guy attacks in, then I shrink it back to a 0.14 or whatever. Then it doesn't
Yeah.
even trade. Like that's not bad.
Not at all.
So it just depends. But it seems good. It's definitely a good deck, and it's definitely he was the only one playing it, so it's kind of his own. There are multiple people playing Mono Aloyan, but I don't know if the Oracle, Energy Surge, and then with Sonic Burst, I don't think anyone's playing that exact package. Uh, Tetra Rain was actually playing Yetis with Cinder Smoke Wyvern, so I feel like Yetis is now stronger now that they have a more powerful card. I don't think Rageborn's quite as good as the Wyvern in Yetis, so I think Cinder Smoke might replace it in that spot. He also
Yeah.
is playing Ridgeback, so he's playing like Wallbreaker, Ice Mage, Warlord, and then he can pump them with Ridgeback as well.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting take on it. I haven't
Yeah.
tried that yet, but it'd be something I think it'd be fun to try.
It is fun. I tried it out. It was very interesting. It definitely still feels like Yeti. You still have that.
Mhm.
Oh look, I have an Ice Mage. Your thing dies.
Yeah.
2 for 1 for you, and then you also have Ridgebacks and Frost Shatter Strike to I mean, just blow some people out with
Now,
Thunder Sword.
Frost Shatter Strike sounds like a new card also.
Yeah, that's not one I really went over. It's 4 damage at 1, and then +4/+0 to your guy. It's a very powerful spell. It's probably one of the best commons we've gotten in a while. Uh, it is very good. It's 4, 7, 11. It levels well. Um, it just seems like kind of a weird temporary hungering strike, but it's damage instead of shrink attack, which is really good. It's going to be used in many decks to come, I think. We had another NT deck. We had Tarsus Predator, NT, Varna's Pact kind of thing. It's a very interesting deck. But basically just NT with the Tarsus package, which I think is actually really good against Metamines. So that's something we might look at in the future.
Yeah.
And then we had Necromines in the top, PTK Tempo, playing Necromines. A list extremely similar to mine, except for he went with 2 Jetpack, which I found myself during the tournament wishing I had a Jetpack because there were a lot of moments where I was just trying to get to it and just didn't get there. So
What
I
did
didn't
you
have
have
one.
instead?
Well, I didn't have one. I don't remember. I'm not really sure. I'd have to look at my list too, but I do the Shell Graves. I'm not sure. I have to go back and look, but it seems like not a terrible idea to get at least 1 Jetpack in there. Turkus was, of course, playing something very strange and crazy, and doing well with it, like Turkus does. Just, I guess, like a
Really?
week before this
Turkus?
tournament, he had a Ridgeback deck with I can't remember exactly the list, but it was very different from what he ended up playing. He ended up playing it like a AU Aegis Knight deck, where he slipped in the Ridgebacks, um, but he also put in the Asperian Steelplate, which is an interesting card. I actually like to quick look at this one. It's in the Ridgeback Rage deck. It's a heroic. What it is it's a 3/5 allied with a Loyan for 2 armor, and then on activate heal 3 to each other creature you control. So it's patriarchable at 1 and 2, which is good. Heals 3, 5, 8 damage at the 3 levels, and at 3 it's actually pretty strong. An 8/14 with 7 armor is actually pretty big.
Yeah.
To kill it in one hit, you need to do 21 damage. Underdrops are obviously completely useless against it. So it's interesting. I tried a version of it, played it through a couple tournaments, and I really had fun with it. This card and Thundersoar, and then Nexus Tech create for some just ridiculous beatdown. Like, oh, all my guys have armor. Oh, all my guys get healed. You don't even deal enough damage to kill them. It's like you actually don't even deal enough damage to injure them. So it ends up playing out pretty good. It's very strange, which is right up Turkis's alley. Well, and he also played Vault Blockade, of course, which is just one of those Turkish things.
Yep. That is definitely a Turkish thing.
Yep. So that's an interesting deck. You can already see that the meta has already shifted back to being more diverse.
Mm-hmm. People got the metamines out of their system.
I mean, there's still a lot of meta mines.
Yeah.
But it wasn't as dominant. Pawn Noom had, I hate to say it, but I don't know if I can say it.
You don't have to say it. Just skip over it.
He had a deck. I don't know. It did some stuff.
Stasis Warden. If you say it 3 times, it goes away forever.
I would say it 3 times if that were true, but I know it's not. So he was playing Stasis Warden. I just have a hate for this deck. Gox and Iron Mine make it more consistent and more, more survivability for it. It can live longer by playing free Acolytes to block your stuff that they don't get to, I don't know, Defender. I don't know. Here's what I don't like about this deck. If NT ever becomes even slightly popular, this deck means nothing, because NT destroys this deck. They have Spite Mages. They have Crush. Crush is ridiculous. You put your own guys on Defender.
Crush sounds decent at that point.
They're just going to crush you for free.
Can I have more than 3 crushes in my deck at that point?
Yeah, Wallbreaker, Yeti?
Oh, that'll work.
Yeah, I've actually seen some of these lists run Wallbreaker. But I just
That's
don't...
not nice.
I don't know. I'm not a fan, so I'm just going to move on from the deck. More talking about that, it's just... I don't know. It's a weird list, too. It's got 1 Scipion Augmentation and 1 Metasculpt. But here's the thing. No matter what I say about it, he made top 16 with it.
Yeah.
That's fantastic for him. It is.
No matter how much we don't like it.
Yeah,
or
just
playing against it.
Playing against it is just not fun.
Find something else. Plop in a movie.
Yeah, it's slow, and even when it's not slow, it's just like, look, all your creatures do nothing all the time. It's like, it's so boring.
Or start looking at one of the sites we're going to mention at the end of this.
Yeah, there's lots of sites to look at. Okay, anyways, I don't know this guy's name, but we had sorry.
Krakatoa?
Yeah, Krakatoa. There we go. We'll use that. He had Plants, so Plants is still alive. It's not dead. His list is fairly similar. It's got a Reveler, but it's pretty much Hans's list. Full mix. I guess Hans's list is I call it Hans's list. He fine-tuned it. It was a list that was around ever since Stoutmeister played it in the Forge a while back.
I think he was doing some playtesting on his stream even before that, like that week up to it.
Yeah,
trying to find something.
The first
fun
time it
to play
kind of
with.
got mainstream, I guess, would be the Forge.
Yeah. And everybody was kind of laughing because it's like, really, Nawada? But Yetis.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you think
so
what? Yetis? What? But it's the Tarsus kind of shenanigans you can do is really what counters that out. So, moving on, Child Please was playing.
You have to say it right.
Child Please
There you go.
was playing a very interesting deck. He was playing Necrum, Necromutera, Big Dumb Animals, with Zithian Shambler.
Wait, say that one again?
He's playing Necromutera,
No, just the last part.
Zithian Shambler.
I don't believe you.
He exists. Uh,
Has
Think
Tiny
about
seen this
Shambler.
yet? Because Tiny loves the
Yeah,
Shambler.
Tiny Grimes. In case you listen to this, you need to know Zithian Shambler. Um, the I don't know if anybody doesn't know. Tiny Grimes is a very popular streamer. He is in love with Shambler. Every time a new meta comes out, he tries to make Shambler work, and he fails. Not because it's his fault, but because Shambler just doesn't work 90% of the time. This deck does work though. Here's the thing: Big Dumb Animals. If you played the deck before or any versions of the deck, it's gonna play 8/8s and 7/8s and 7/7s every turn. It plays Sharp Plate Mutant. It's a 9/9. It's pretty powerful.
Yep.
It's just gonna play these out every turn. Doesn't really care if you shrink its hand down to 2 cards because those 2 cards are 8/8s and 7/7s.
So wait, do you play another 8/8 or another 7/7?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So it really doesn't matter.
That seems easy enough.
It is, and then when you've got Ebon Skull plus Shard Plate, those two actually they do level. So does Rafi. So you've got 3, which is different from the old Big Dumb Animals list where nothing levels.
Yeah.
It all just stays the same size as it levels. It gets like +1/+1. This list actually has 3 cards that level, 3 creatures that level, plus Varnus Pact, which also levels.
Yeah.
Could you see Varnus Pacting 2 on 2.1 getting 2 Ebon Skull Knights? I mean, even if they're Ebon Skull Knight 1, 2 8/8s is better than any level 2 usually.
Which, as long as it's not 1.4, 2.4, 3.4.
Right. I'm just saying,
But yeah.
if Varnus Pact actually ends up being fairly powerful in this deck because all of the creatures are fairly powerful.
Yeah.
And then you've got the Shambler. What the Shambler will do is the Shambler will pop out. You have all these decks around. You've got plants. You've got Metamines. You've got Acolyte decks. All the Acolyte decks. You've got Flame Break decks. What else we got?
A little bit NT.
Even the Turgis's deck with all these different robots and stuff. All these decks, they have no answer to Shambler. They have nothing. You play Shambler, and they just kind of look at you like, oh, that's gonna,
Because Shambler doesn't like removal.
Yeah, that's gonna have 13 defense on the next turn because they put a mutant next to it. So it works. It definitely does. I have seen it in the queue multiple times since this tournament. I actually I did one of those crazy things where you play somebody at 4 for your 4-0 win, and you play them again at 1 on your next one. Because you both finished your tournaments. And it was Technonaut, which, by the way, me and Technonaut seem to do that commonly. I beat him the first time. He beat me the second time. So, it definitely wins, even if you know what you're going against right from the beginning. I knew what he was playing because we were both just playing it. And it's pretty fun. It's not bad. It's definitely something different. Getting an out-of-control Shambler early in the game is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
So that's
The question is, do you play the level 2 Shambler and then eat the level 1 Shambler?
Especially if you're afraid of like Dreadbolt or Cersei or anything, yeah. So that's interesting. And I've already seen different versions of this deck. I've seen people try to play all kinds of different cards that work with Shambler now because they realize Shambler might be better in this, this Metamind metagame.
Mm-hmm.
It's way too many metas. But yeah, so we'll have to see. I don't think it's going to go away, but I don't know if it'll ever be a top tier deck. But it's one of those, if you don't look out for it, you may just get crushed by it.
Yeah.
Have an answer. That's what I would say. Have at least 1 or 2 answers to that card, just in case. Other
I'm
than
just kind of
that,
surprised it didn't come out when AU Flex was bigger, just because AU Flex really didn't have any kind of removal either.
You're right. That's true. But maybe nobody thought of it.
Yeah.
Who knows?
I don't think so.
I'm sure Tiny probably tried, but it's just we just expect him to try.
Yeah.
Other than that, we got a Gox Utera list on there. Lotus, Tangle, Sprout. So it's kind of like a overwhelm you early kind of list with
What about the
Gox.
Tarsus?
What?
No Tarsus.
No, because it's not a Varnus Pact deck. This is Gox AU Flex basically.
Yeah.
But it's weird because it's got, I don't know what it is actually. I think it's just looking to fill the board and ridgeback you to death because it's got Gox for free acolytes, it's
Yep.
got Lotus for free plants, and it's got Tangle Sprout and Thundersword, which usually can net you 2-for-1s.
And in case anything gets big enough, you warmonger it, and all of a sudden you have like 50 damage thrown at them.
Plus, there's 3 creatures with breakthrough,
Yeah.
so Warmongermon could win at 2 just with doubling it up on a creature.
Mm-hmm.
It's an interesting deck, and then we had Katiri, who was in one of the earlier tournaments with a very similar list, basically no legendary mono Tempes. He had Splash and Botanimate, but otherwise...
So what you're saying is you got beat by a free-to-play account that made it farther than you?
I didn't get beat by him, but yes, he made it farther than me. I mean, who knows if he's free to play? Maybe he has legends. Maybe he just found that this deck really works. I know he plays it well because if you can take... Here's what I have to say about this deck. I'm terrible when I try to play it. I feel like it's weak and I feel like it's horrible and I feel like it's luck-based. Doesn't mean it is. It's what I feel like.
Yeah.
So I can tell you this. He plays this deck really well either way.
Mm-hmm.
Either he plays it so well to mitigate the bad luck, or it's better than I look and he just plays it, pretty well. But I have a feeling that this deck isn't the power level of the other top 16 decks, but this guy just pilots it really, really well.
Mm-hmm.
That's what my feeling is. But
Yeah.
who knows? He did change. He is changing it up. He added Frost Shatter Strike, Conflagurate, and Botanimate since the last tournament. So he's definitely moving along with the metagame based on what he thinks he needs to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. It's interesting. Definitely, it's hope for all you free-to-play players out there.
Yeah.
Because if you're looking at trying to make a Gox list with Acolyte, you've got a lot of legends.
Oh, yeah.
You've got... I don't even know how many legends there are. There's just too many.
At least
then-
9.
Yeah, and it's just how it is. I mean, you'll get there eventually, but you might not have the cards now. But the decks like that give you some kind of hope. Plus the Sonata Wolf, Silver Tail deck that I was talking about earlier, that only has Acolytes and Goxes for legendaries. Goxen, we've decided it is now called. The Phoenix can be any underdrop. Multiple
I like
Gox
it.
is Goxen, yes.
Done.
That has been decided. You can't craft the Acolytes yet, so if you are looking to play this deck and can't afford it yet, I would save for when they're free. That would probably be your best bet. Or not free, but when they're craftable.
Now, a Katiri's deck, have you seen that in the queue at all?
No,
Okay.
I have not seen that in the queue, other than when I was playing it.
How about Yetis with the crazy chicken?
No, I actually haven't seen that either. But I did try it out before that tournament just to see, because it was an idea that somebody had in A1. Obviously, it was an idea lots of people had. But to try, to replace Rageborn with it, see how it went.
Mm-hmm.
I think I made the deck, tried it out. I played really well. But I didn't spend a ton of time on it.
Yeah.
I don't really like Yeti-based decks. I played it. I've got 2 free-to-play accounts. One I put like $5 into, so it's not quite free-to-play, and I have another free-to-play account. So my $5 one has been around a little longer. It has all the Yetis it needs to make a Yeti deck. It doesn't have the Wyvern, but I played my share of Yetis with just from that. And I'm sure, my other free-to-play account, I may be making this Mono Tempest deck just so I can get into the queues and win some games. To try to, get a better bigger collection so I can change the decks around a little bit. One of the last couple things I wanted to talk about is the ladder. If anyone knows, it's www.solforgeladder.com. It's a good place to play competitively against other people. There's prizes at the end of the month. There's random prizes of people who just play on that. It's pretty cool.
And
Gives
you
you
get
an idea
symbols next to your name.
Yeah, you get lots. Sometimes you get a million, depending on who you are.
Picador.
Yes, but there is a new symbol. For those of you who know, this ice cube, which says "truly cool person," is for supporting the site through premium, which is $5. This is I'm not sure exactly where this money's going to be going, but I think it's really good for the community because he puts a lot of work into this. Kaleri does. So I think this is good. I will probably be subscribing pretty soon. Um, I want into the free tournament, but also I think this is such a good thing for us.
And I
That
mean, the last point you make, Cleary feel appreciated. I mean, come on.
yeah, exactly. We should because he's doing an amazing job. And until Solforge puts their own ladder system into the game, this is what we have. And what this does is this doesn't force. By having this ladder, you don't force Stoneblade to work on something they don't think is as important. So say if we all said, oh no, we need a ladder, we need a ladder, we need a ladder. Stoneblade has to stop working on set 3, or they have to stop working on some kind of auction house, or, moving cards from one account to another, something. They have to stop that to make a ladder system, you know? Well, we have
Mm-hmm.
somebody else who said, look, I'll do the ladder system for you. You keep working on the game, I got the ladder for now. That is amazing.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
So definitely worth going premium on there, especially if you spend some time doing that. So I would also say we're also going to tell you guys to check out the Soulforge Reddit. Lots of stuff going on there. And also check out Gox's Socks, deadonboard.com. I guess it's a newer Soulforge website.
And if you've ever wanted to know where all the Goxen socks go,
Yeah, because apparently they steal his socks. I don't
Yep.
know if you knew that, but
Yep.
they are socks thieves because Gox can never have enough socks, but then they steal them all. I don't know. Just saying. Maybe that's why Gox is in all these tournaments. It's because he
Yep.
needs to afford more socks.
Oh yeah, they're expensive.
They can be. I
What
guess.
if you get the reinforced toes and heels?
I would guess you would
Where
need
the
that
moisture
when you're
wicking?
going to battle.
You can
So-
have different colors.
Okay, moving on. um, that's all we have for tonight. So I will see you guys next time.
Catch you guys later.
Make sure you check out my Twitter, Kung Fu Matt, at Kung Fu Matt 12. Check out me on Twitch, and I will see you later.
Later.